SCP-2863. Shush. Do you hear that? That sound can only mean one thing. Someone is about to get boned. You see, somewhere in Japan, people said the wind sounded different, like someone shaking a bag full of loose chopsticks while walking on stilts. Most ignored it, brushing it off as tricks of the night, until someone finally looked up and saw something so large and so impossible that they never looked down again. Towering high above the treetops was a huge ass pile of human remains, stacked 30 meters high, with glowing eye sockets and blood-stained jaws. The SCP Foundation calls it SCP-2863, but the older name is Gashadokuro, and no matter what you call it, it always does the same thing. It waits until after sunset, picks a direction, and starts hunting. And I already hear you. Who cares? It's just bones. Yeah, Brenda. Try telling me that when it finds you, bites off your head in one clean snap, and somehow drains all your blood into its bones. Which, by the way, shouldn't even be physically possible. Because last time I checked, bones don't come with a digestive system. But anyways, instead of leaving you with a boner, this fella will leave you with just bones. So maybe Brenda was right all along. Luckily, there's a way to avoid this from happening. Mr. Bones seems to hate being in the spotlight, so the Foundation just floods the area with industrial strength lights until it vanishes. Personally, I think a comically oversized hammer and one good whack to the toe will do the trick.
Bloody hell!
SCP-002. If I disappear after this, you'll know why. Because they say curiosity kills the cat. But in this case, it turns it into a recliner. It all started when a shipping container built like a giant meatball fell from the sky and landed in a Portuguese village. If your first thought was, I need a bite, wait until you hear what happened to the curious farmer who found it. After attracting more people to the site, he went missing. Next, the villagers went missing. And the container? It's since redecorated itself with a brand new rug. You see, when you enter it, you'll find what looks like a small apartment. There's a couch, a rug, a bookshelf, even a beanbag chair tucked in the corner. Cozy, right? That is, until you take a closer look and realize every single item in that room is made out of human body parts. That beanbag chair over there? That's Steve. He went in 10 minutes ago. Luckily, the room only decorates with living humans. It doesn't care about animals, cadavers, or test dummies. But the moment a breathing person steps inside, the lights flicker, and when they come back on, the couch has one more cushion to sit on. Nowadays, the Foundation keeps it under control by plugging it into a constant power source and makes sure anyone who goes near it does so in pairs, just in case one of them suddenly turns into a lamp. But if the power ever cuts, the room wakes up. And this time, it wants more than just a rug. SCP-400. Warning. This one's extra disturbing, because the only thing worse than babies is babies full of insects. At first glance, SCP-400 looks like ordinary red-striped pill bugs. Nothing too haunting, right? Well, until you realize these buggers don't infest damp basements or rotting wood, they infest cribs. Usually, a swarm of 25 to 50 bugs shows up in the nursery of a newborn, sprays a mist that knocks the parents out cold, and then crawls straight inside the baby. In less than an hour, the infant is dead. But give it 3 hours and surprise! The infant is suddenly crying again. Only this time, it's not a baby. It's an army of bugs. Or should I say, the infantry? If that isn't disgusting enough, nobody around it can tell. Thanks to a pheromone cognitohazard, the parents see a healthy, happy child. They can look straight at a rotting babe filled with bugs and be like, oh, so cute. Even worse, the mother still feels compelled to feed it. And during those feedings, some bugs crawl out, snack on her directly, and crawl back in like nothing happened. Weeks later, she'll give birth in her sleep, not to another child, but to 50 fresh pill bugs, ready to repeat the cycle. Nowadays, containment means sealed rooms, hazmat suits, and constant monitoring of daycare records. Because if these infestations spread, whole towns could end up raising dead babies without realizing it. But hey, the Foundation calls that progress in baby steps. Anyways, babysitting? Hard pass. SCP-2419. If you saw Gashadokuro and thought, damn, that's fire, this next SCP takes that a little too literally. Out in the hills of Colorado, there's a refinery that looks abandoned, just rusted pipes and smokestacks that never stop burning. But if you listen closely, you'll hear me crying in the corner because you're not subscribed yet. Just kidding, mostly. What you'll really hear is something inside. Scratching, screaming, clawing to get out. You see, the place was originally built to burn hazardous waste. Nothing too strange. Until the waste stopped being chemicals and started being people, specifically D-class test subjects. The Foundation would drain their happiest memories, bottle them into liquid amnestics, and toss the hollow shells into the fire. Unfortunately, they didn't stay dead. The bodies came back, regenerating inside the flames, laughing, screaming, and climbing toward the disposal chutes. And here, I thought skeletons were supposed to be dead quiet. These ones? Dead loud. Anyways, if you want to get rid of the pests, get ready to bring the heat. The only thing keeping thousands of these half-dead things under control is the fire itself, which means containment is simple but terrifying. Keep all 6 furnaces burning 24/7. Personally, I think asking them to chill out will do the trick, but I don't think they have the guts to do that. So yeah, if you ever get invited to a BBQ cookout near Colorado, maybe pass. Unless you're into eating ribs that scream back, then I would say bone appetite. SCP-1692. If you like getting down and dirty, you might be in luck. Though fair warning, this one doesn't just leave you with soiled pants, it leaves you buried in them. Imagine this. Your cousin's been missing for months. One of those tragic small-town cases that fades into whispers, until one night there's a knock at your door. You open it, and unfortunately, there he is, smiling like nothing happened. Except something doesn't look quite right, 'cause somehow, he's even uglier than you remember. You see, he used to be really down to earth. Now it looks like he just crawled straight out of it, with a bigger forehead and 3 extra fingers. Turns out, that's not far from the truth. The Foundation eventually traced him back to a swamp in Louisiana, where a sinkhole known as SCP-1692-2 festers beneath the fog. Get too close and you'll see someone waiting in the mist. A muddy little girl, a long-vanished hunter, or maybe the exact person you're searching for. And if you're dumb enough to follow, that will be the last decision you'll ever make. Because the ones who go in don't come out the same. Weeks, months, or even decades later, their bodies bubble back up from the pit, rearranged, mutated, sometimes stitched together wrong, sometimes speaking languages they never knew. Containment, at least, is simple. A fence, armed patrols, and a cover story about a nature reserve. Which, technically, it is, if you count mud-grown people as part of the wildlife. SCP-6670. Nothing wrong with some homegrown pride, right? Unless the thing you're proud of is a girl fused into the floorboards. You see, before she was part of the floor plan, she was Gemma, a girl who stood out for all the wrong reasons. By 2, she towered over kids twice her age, and she wasn't slowing down. One afternoon, Gemma crawled into a hole in the wall, where she unfortunately got stuck, and then she kept growing. When her mother couldn't pull her out, she did the obvious thing any responsible parent would do. She hid her in the walls. So, Gemma became part of the house. Her spine bent with the beams, her body expanding until she outgrew her room in the worst way possible. So yeah, go big or go home. Guess she did both. Her mom fed her through cracks, sang happy birthdays into the walls, and made tapes of a voice that shifted from, "Mommy, watch me," to, "Mommy, it hurts," until finally, just begging for food. By the early 2000s, the house itself was groaning, splitting apart. The last recordings are awful. The ceiling caving, bones breaking, and Gemma screaming as she crashes through the rooms. Her mother runs in, promising to catch her, but she's never seen again. Today, SCP-6670 still sleeps inside that rotting house. But in 2005, it stirred. A huge, deformed head pushed out the doorway, and in a little girl's voice, it whispered, "Mama, I'm so sorry," with a piece of hair still stuck between her teeth. SCP-4511. You all know Peppa Pig, right? This is her now. Feel old yet? Kidding. But if Peppa ever met this thing, it'd be a 1-episode special called Pork Chops. You see, this SCP is basically a 15-meter iron hog crammed into the basement of an abandoned Chicago meatpacking plant. Its belly glowing with a fire that hasn't gone out in decades. At first, they thought it was cult junk, but then it spat out an index card with the demand, "Feed me." And no, you can't just toss it a hamburger. One day it wants oil, next day pigs. Ignore it and things get ugly. So, naturally, some bright lad thought, let's experiment. So they tossed in oil drums. Want to know what came out? Bones. Toss in a German Shepherd, out came 7 teeth, 6 dog, 1 human. And when they shoved in a D-class, the machine leaked blood, oil, and pig urine. And DNA tests matched the lead researcher. But what's even worse is that people can't help but obey. Researchers, guards, even whole MTF squads feel compelled to feed it, like a factory god demanding worship. And all it gives back is noise, fluids, and corpses. Containment sounds simple. Lock the plant, guard the hog, toss back anything that crawls out. But the truth is, you can't really contain a furnace that writes its own grocery list. Play with fire, you get burned. Play with this pig, now you're
It's
a
a sausage.
SCP-6096. At this point, you're probably like, a freak under the sheets? Say less. But trust me, you'd rather get ghosted on Tinder than ghosted by this bad boy. And by bad boy, I mean a 1.5-meter tall figure permanently draped in a big white sheet. And no, nobody's ever managed to pull the sheet off. Not for lack of trying, but because you literally can't. Its anomaly makes it impossible for anyone to harm it. You can't stab it, you can't trick it, you can't even accidentally drop a piano on it. Your brain just refuses. And if you think you can see right through it, well, you can't, because it's wearing a blanket dummy. Usually, though, it's kind of chill. But every so often, it decides to go trick-or-treating. That's when it picks a random human anywhere in the world and starts walking, or should I say, floating. Now here's where it gets brutal. Anyone who sees it instantly knows who the target is. And worse, they feel compelled to help. Parents holding down their own child, friends sobbing while pinning you to the ground, all while the ghost drifts closer. When it reaches the victim, it pulls them under the sheet. They thrash and scream for about 30 minutes before vanishing completely. Then 6096 just settles back down, or floats, whatever. You get the idea. Anyways, you'd think containment would be easy, right? Wrong. The Foundation built it a cell. But when it wants out, they just escort it to its target like a celebrity. So yeah, that's the spirit, I guess. All right, folks, if this lineup didn't haunt you enough, go check out the SCPs based on urban legends next. Where ghosts don't just spook you, they'll park their ass in the grass, then slurp a baby straight through the roof. Yeah, sweet dreams.